I'm Sarah, 30F, a businesswoman who's been going through a tough time lately. A few months ago, I went through a difficult breakup that left me feeling lost and alone. To make matters worse, I've been struggling to connect with my teenage daughter, Emily, 15F. It's like we're speaking different languages sometimes, and I can't seem to break through the wall she's built around herself. Last week, I attended one of Emily's school events, hoping to show her that I'm trying to be more involved in her life. That's where I met Jamie, 35M, a single father who was there for his daughter, Mia, 14F. As we watched our kids from the sidelines, we started talking, and I felt an instant connection with him. It was refreshing to meet someone who understood the challenges of single parenting. Jamie and I exchanged numbers, and over the next few days, we started texting regularly. We shared stories about our kids, our jobs, and the ups and downs of our lives. It felt good to have someone to talk to who really got it. After a couple of weeks, Jamie asked me out on a date. I was hesitant at first, worried about how Emily would react, but I decided to give it a chance. We went for coffee, and the conversation flowed so easily. We talked for hours about everything and nothing. It was the first time in a long time that I felt truly seen and understood. As Jamie and I started spending more time together, I noticed Emily becoming more withdrawn and irritable. When I tried to talk to her about it, she lashed out, accusing me of trying to replace her father. I tried to explain that Jamie wasn't a replacement for anyone, but she wouldn't listen. One night, after a particularly heated argument with Emily, I called Jamie in tears. He came over to comfort me, and that's when Emily saw us together for the first time. The look of betrayal on her face broke my heart. She stormed off to her room and refused to come out. Over the next few weeks, I tried to balance my growing relationship with Jamie and my strained relationship with Emily. It was a constant juggling act, and I felt like I was failing at both. Jamie was patient and understanding, always encouraging me to put Emily first. As Jamie and I grew closer, we started talking about introducing our kids to each other. We knew it would be challenging, especially given Emily's reaction to our relationship, but we felt it was important to try. The first meeting was a disaster. Emily was cold and dismissive towards Jamie, and downright hostile towards Mia. Mia, who was usually outgoing and friendly, retreated into herself, clearly hurt by Emily's behavior. Jamie and I exchanged helpless looks, not sure how to navigate this minefield. After that disastrous first meeting, Jamie and I had a long talk about how to move forward. We agreed that we needed to take things slow and give our kids time to adjust. We started having family dinners once a week, hoping that with repeated exposure, the girls would start to warm up to each other. It was a rocky start. Emily continued to be standoffish, while Mia tried her best to be friendly but was often rebuffed. There were many awkward silences and tense moments. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, things started to change. One night, during our weekly dinner, I overheard Emily and Mia talking about a new TV show they both liked. It was a small thing, but it felt like a breakthrough. From there, they started finding more common ground. They both loved art, though Emily preferred painting while Mia was into photography. As the weeks went by, the tension in our blended family dinners started to ease. Emily and Mia weren't best friends, but they were civil to each other, and sometimes even seemed to enjoy each other's company. It was a relief to see them getting along, even if it was just in small ways. But just as things were starting to look up, new challenges arose. Jamie's ex-wife, Rachel, started calling more frequently, always with some emergency or another that required Jamie's attention. I tried not to let it bother me, but I couldn't help feeling a twinge of insecurity every time she called. Then there was the issue of our different parenting styles. Jamie was more laid back, while I tended to be stricter. This led to some disagreements, especially when it came to setting rules for our kids. We had to learn to compromise and present a united front, which wasn't always easy. Despite these challenges, Jamie and I were committed to making our relationship work. We started going to couples counseling to learn how to better communicate and navigate the complexities of blending our families. It wasn't always easy, but we both felt it was worth the effort. As for Emily, she was slowly coming around. One day, she surprised me by asking if Jamie and Mia could come to her art show at school. It was a small gesture, but it meant the world to me. When I saw Jamie and Mia in the audience, beaming with pride as Emily explained her paintings, I felt a warmth in my chest that I hadn't experienced in a long time. There were still tough days, of course. Days when Emily would retreat into herself, or when Jamie and I would argue over something trivial. But there were also moments of joy and connection that made it all worthwhile. Like the time we all went camping together and stayed up late telling ghost stories around the campfire, or the day we spent at the beach, building sandcastles and splashing in the waves. As I write this, I'm filled with a mix of emotions. I'm grateful for Jamie and the love and support he's brought into my life. I'm proud of Emily for opening herself up to this new family dynamic, even when it was hard. And I'm hopeful for our future together, whatever challenges it may bring. I know we still have a long way to go. Blending families is never easy, and there will undoubtedly be more obstacles ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. With Jamie by my side and our girls slowly forming their own bond, I'm excited to see what the future holds for our little blended family. Update: when it's been 2 months since my last post, and a lot has happened. Just when I thought things were settling into a comfortable rhythm with Jamie and our blended family, life threw us another curveball. Last week, Jamie's ex-wife, Rachel, suddenly reappeared in our lives. She showed up at Jamie's house unannounced, claiming she wanted to reconnect with her family. I wasn't there when it happened, but Jamie called me immediately after to let me know. At first, I tried to be understanding. After all, Rachel is Mia's mother, and I know how important it is for kids to have both parents in their lives. But as the days went by, it became clear that Rachel's intentions weren't purely about reconnecting with Mia. Jamie assured me that he was committed to our relationship, but I could sense his unease. He seemed distracted and distant, often lost in thought. When I tried to talk to him about it, he would brush it off, saying he was just stressed about work. But I knew better. I could see the conflict in his eyes every time Rachel's name came up. It was clear that her sudden reappearance had stirred up old emotions, and I was afraid of what that might mean for us. Things came to a head when I overheard a heated phone conversation between Jamie and Rachel. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I couldn't help hearing Jamie's raised voice. "You can't just waltz back into our lives after all this time," he said. "We've moved on." "I've moved on." When Jamie saw me standing there, he ended the call abruptly. We had a long, difficult conversation that night. Jamie admitted that Rachel's return had brought up complicated feelings, but he reassured me that he was committed to our relationship. He said he needed time to process everything and figure out how to handle the situation with Mia. I wanted to believe him, but doubt had already taken root in my mind. Was I just a placeholder until Rachel decided to come back? Had Jamie ever really gotten over her? As if the situation with Rachel wasn't complicated enough, I received some news of my own that added another layer of complexity to our already tangled lives. My company offered me a significant promotion, one that would advance my career in ways I had only dreamed of. The catch? It would require relocating to another city. Under normal circumstances, I would have jumped at the opportunity. But now, with my relationship with Jamie and our blended family finally finding its footing, the decision wasn't so simple. The thought of leaving behind everything we had built together made my heart ache. I spent days agonizing over the decision, weighing my career ambitions against my personal life. On one hand, this promotion was everything I had worked for. On the other, the thought of leaving Jamie and potentially disrupting Emily's life again filled me with dread. After much soul-searching and many sleepless nights, I made my decision. I realized that while my career was important to me, it wasn't everything. The relationships I had built with Jamie, Emily, and even Mia were more valuable than any job title or salary increase. With a mix of relief and trepidation, I turned down the promotion. When I told Jamie about my decision, the look of surprise and gratitude on his face confirmed that I had made the right choice. He pulled me into a tight embrace, whispering thank you into my hair. That night, Jamie had a long talk with Rachel. He told her in no uncertain terms that while she would always be Mia's mother, their relationship was over. He asked her to respect his new life and his relationship with me. Rachel didn't take it well. She accused Jamie of abandoning their family and me of tearing them apart. But Jamie stood firm, reaffirming his commitment to me and our blended family. The next few weeks were tense. Rachel continued to call and text Jamie, alternating between anger and pleas for reconciliation. Jamie did his best to handle the situation, always keeping me in the loop and reassuring me of his feelings. As for Emily and Mia, they seemed to sense the tension in the air. Emily, in particular, became more protective of me, often glaring at Jamie when she thought Rachel was calling. It was touching to see her support, even if it added another layer of complexity to our family dynamics. Through it all, Jamie and I worked hard to keep our relationship strong. We had many late-night conversations, sharing our fears and insecurities. It wasn't easy, but each honest discussion brought us closer together. Looking back, I realized that turning down the promotion was a turning point for us. It showed Jamie how committed I was to our relationship, and it gave me the clarity I needed about what truly mattered in my life. As I write this update, I'm cautiously optimistic about our future. Rachel's presence in our lives is still a complication, but Jamie and I are facing it together. We're not naive enough to think it will be smooth sailing from here on out, but we're committed to working through whatever challenges come our way. Our little blended family may not be perfect, but it's ours. And that's worth fighting for. Update 2: It's been 2 weeks since my last update, and I wish I could say things have improved. Unfortunately, the situation with Rachel has only escalated. Rachel, still reeling from Jamie's rejection, has become increasingly obsessed with destroying our relationship. At first, it was just more frequent calls and texts, which Jamie continued to ignore or respond to briefly and professionally. But then things took a darker turn. Last week, I started hearing whispers at work. Colleagues were giving me strange looks, and I overheard snippets of conversations that would abruptly stop when I entered the room. It wasn't until a sympathetic coworker pulled me aside that I learned what was going on. Apparently, Rachel had been spreading rumors about me. She'd been contacting people in my professional network, sharing half-truths and outright lies about my past. She claimed I had a history of breaking up families, that I was unstable and untrustworthy. Some of the stories she told were so wildly fabricated that I couldn't believe anyone would take them seriously. But people did. I found myself having to defend my character and my relationship with Jamie to people who had no business judging either. It was humiliating and infuriating. When I told Jamie about what Rachel was doing, he was furious. He immediately called Rachel and demanded she stop spreading lies about me. But Rachel denied everything, claiming she was just telling the truth about me to protect Jamie and Mia. The constant barrage of negativity started to take its toll on our relationship. Jamie was stressed and distracted, constantly putting out fires started by Rachel. I found myself becoming paranoid, wondering who else Rachel had talked to and what other lies she might be spreading. We tried our best to present a united front, but the strain was showing. We started arguing more frequently, often over small, insignificant things. The trust and openness we had worked so hard to build was being eroded by Rachel's toxic influence. Emily, ever perceptive, picked up on the tension between Jamie and me. She started acting out again, skipping classes and staying out late. When I tried to talk to her about it, she lashed out, accusing me of ruining everything by getting involved with Jamie in the first place. Mia, caught in the middle of this adult drama, became withdrawn and quiet. She spent more time in her room when she was at Jamie's house, avoiding the tense atmosphere that had settled over our once happy blended family. Things came to a head last weekend. Rachel showed up at our house unannounced, clearly intoxicated. She started yelling, demanding to see Jamie and Mia. When I tried to calm her down and ask her to leave, she became physically aggressive, pushing me and trying to force her way into the house. Jamie, hearing the commotion, came running. He managed to restrain Rachel and call the police. As we waited for them to arrive, Rachel continued to hurl insults and accusations at me, her words slurred but no less hurtful. When the police arrived, they took Rachel into custody. Jamie and I spent the next few hours giving statements and filling out paperwork. By the time we got home, we were both emotionally and physically exhausted. That night, as we lay in bed, unable to sleep, Jamie and I had a long, honest conversation about our future. We both acknowledged that Rachel's behavior was toxic and destructive, not just to our relationship but to our entire family unit. Jamie, his voice thick with emotion, told me how sorry he was for everything Rachel had put me through. He said he felt responsible for bringing this chaos into my life and into Emily's life. For a moment, I was afraid he was going to suggest we end our relationship for everyone's sake. But instead, he took my hand and looked me in the eyes. "I love you," he said firmly. "And I'm not going to let Rachel destroy what we have. We've worked too hard and come too far to give up now." His words filled me with a mix of relief and determination. We spent the rest of the night making plans. We decided to seek a restraining order against Rachel to protect our family. Jamie also made the difficult decision to limit Rachel's access to Mia, at least until Rachel could prove she was getting help for her issues. The next day, Jamie called Rachel's parents to inform them of the situation. They were horrified by their daughter's behavior and promised to intervene. They offered to have Rachel stay with them and seek professional help. As I write this update, I'm feeling a cautious sense of hope. The road ahead won't be easy. We still have to deal with the aftermath of Rachel's rumors and rebuild trust with those around us. Emily and Mia are still struggling to process everything that's happened. But for the first time in weeks, I feel like Jamie and I are truly on the same page. We're facing these challenges together, as a team. And that gives me strength. We know there will be more obstacles ahead. Rachel's issues won't disappear overnight, and the scars left by her actions will take time to heal. But Jamie and I are committed to each other and to our family. We're ready to fight for the life we're building together, no matter what comes our way. Update 3. It's been a year since my last update, and I'm happy to report that things have significantly improved for our blended family. After the incident with Rachel, Jamie and I made a conscious decision to prioritize our relationship and our family's well-being. We sought counseling, both as a couple and as a family, to work through the trauma of Rachel's actions and to strengthen our bonds. The restraining order against Rachel remained in place for several months. During that time, she stayed with her parents and underwent intensive therapy. It was a long and difficult process, but gradually, Rachel began to show signs of improvement. About 6 months ago, Rachel reached out to Jamie through her parents. She apologized for her behavior and expressed a desire to make amends. Jamie was understandably cautious, but after discussing it with me and our therapist, we agreed to allow Rachel limited, supervised visits with Mia. These visits were tense at first, but over time, they became more relaxed. Rachel seemed genuinely committed to rebuilding a healthy relationship with her daughter. She also made a point of apologizing to me in person for the pain and trouble she had caused. While I appreciated her apology, I made it clear that rebuilding trust would take time. As for Jamie and me, our relationship has grown stronger through all these challenges. We've learned to communicate more openly and honestly, and we've become better at supporting each other through difficult times. Last month, Jamie proposed, and I said yes. We're planning a small, intimate wedding with just our closest family and friends. Emily and Mia have also come a long way. The girls have formed a close bond, almost like sisters. They still have their moments of rivalry and disagreement, but overall, they've become each other's biggest supporters. Emily has even started referring to Jamie as her stepdad, which never fails to bring a smile to his face. My career has taken some interesting turns as well. After turning down that promotion a year ago, I was worried about my future at the company. But my boss was understanding and appreciative of my dedication to my family. She worked with me to create a flexible work arrangement that allows me to balance my career and family life better. I've taken on new responsibilities and projects that challenge me professionally while still allowing me to be present for my family. Looking back on everything we've been through, I'm amazed at how far we've come. There were moments when I thought our relationship wouldn't survive, when the pressure seemed too much to bear. But Jamie and I chose to face our challenges together, and that has made all the difference. Our blended family isn't perfect. We still have our ups and downs, our disagreements and misunderstandings. But we've learned to navigate these challenges with patience, understanding, and love. As I write this final update, I'm filled with gratitude and hope for the future. We've weathered some serious storms, but we've come out stronger on the other side. Jamie, Emily, Mia, and I are building a life together that's filled with love, laughter, and mutual support.